Have you ever gotten a math test back and caught a silly mistake that you feel you could have easily avoided? Or maybe many? For me, 2 to the exponent 3 would turn to 6 on almost all my calculus tests in grade 13 math. Hi, I'm Danielle, and I'm a high school math teacher and tutor and have been for over 18 years. I share my best tips and strategies right here on this YouTube channel. So if you are a math student wanting to learn math with ease, definitely hit subscribe below. So why do these mistakes even happen and how can we avoid them on our next math test? Let's dive in together and I'll show you how I've trained my brain to stop making what I call these math sillies. So back in grade 13 math, yes, I had grade 13 back in high school. I was so fed up with getting back tests and catching these silly mistakes that had lost me marks. So I started to think about ways on how to pay attention to these silly mistakes during a test. And one day when doing my math homework, I realized I was doing the exact same thing while answering questions in my homework. So I started to use my math homework as a training session on teaching myself to slow it down. I noticed that my brain was bypassing all the math I already knew because it was trying to focus on the big concept that I had just learned that day and tried to apply it to solve the problem. If it was factoring, I was focused on the factoring. If it was completing the square, it was me trying to complete the square. And that's where my 2 times 5 became 25. Scientists have referred to silly mistakes in one of 3 ways. The other 2 I'm not going to focus on, but the third one is known as lapses of attention. And it makes sense that I was rushing and bypassing to focus on the big idea because of these lapses of attention that were occurring while trying to perform the math. A great example of this is when you've seen, or maybe you've actually had this happen to you, you've seen a professional athlete grab hold of the ball, they gain repossession of the ball in the game, and they head towards the net to score, but then realize, wait, I just scored on my own net. That's a prime example of the athlete in the moment focusing on scoring that big goal, but neglecting the minor detail of going in the right direction, something that should have been so automatic to them. So this is how my out loud method was born. I show how to use this method in my mini courses, Power Up Math Homework and Power Up Math Tests, but I want to give you the Coles Notes version here. Okay, there are 2 parts to the out loud method. The first one is to speak to yourself out loud. So you aren't going to be able to do this, obviously, if you are in a room full of students, but you can talk to yourself either out loud at home or to yourself in your own head. And what I do is I do not make the next math move until I have double checked the move I have just made in that moment. So I confirm my answer before going on. I know that seems like it might delay you in getting to the answers quickly, especially during a test. But as you use this skill day in and day out in your math homework, you actually get really quick at it. And it helps you to slow down the silly mistakes from happening. And it actually eliminates the need for you to double check at the end of a test. The second part to the out loud method is just really an enhancer of the first. I use my finger to track every math move I make on paper to double check it in the moment. And the reason why I started placing my finger on the paper was because my brain was moving faster than my hand was writing, and I wanted to slow the thought process down. And so I was trying to hold 2 ideas at the same time. The completing the square, for example, or factoring was there at the forefront of my head, but I was also trying to hold space for the math that I should automatically know how to do while solving the problem. So the finger was allowing me to slow it down and physically keep track. Let me show you an example. Okay, so here's an example, a BEDMAS example, and I would like to apply the out loud method to it so you can see it in action. So the question reads -6 squared minus 4 bracket -3 plus 5 close bracket divided by 2. If I'm going to be applying BEDMAS, I want to start with this -6 squared. Now follow my cursor as if it were my finger on the paper. This negative isn't actually attached to the 6. The only thing being squared or raised to the exponent 2 is the 6. This is like saying -1, and I should start with an equal sign. See, by going slowly, I caught that. -1 bracket 6 squared minus 4. If you would like to add the -3 plus 5, you could do that at the same time because this is like the first piece of BEDMAS that we can work on, but at the same time, within this second piece, the brackets can happen simultaneously. So -3 plus 5 is 2. Now, if that's too much, I'm just going to write divided by 2 so I don't forget. If that's too much to handle in one step, that's fine. You could just start with the -1 and work with the 6 exponents squared so you don't feel like you're confusing the BEDMAS rules. Then we're going to go here and we are going to calculate 6 squared. So it's -1 times 36 minus 4 times 2 divided by 2. Now, just to recap, BEDMAS, for those of us that haven't seen it in a while, stands for brackets, exponents, division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. Division and multiplication, they can happen interchangeably, but you go with the one that is to the most left, okay, towards the equal sign. Same with addition and subtraction. So right now, I am seeing -1 times 36. I'm also seeing 4 times 2 or 4 divided by 2. They can happen at the same time, but I like to go with the most left. So here we're going to say -36 minus 4 times 2 divided by 2. The next move I'm going to make is the 4 times 2. You can leave the negative on the outside. So -36, that's actually a minus. 4 times 2 is 8 divided by 2. Let's scroll down a little bit here. So now we have to do the 8 divided by 2. So we're going to get -36 minus 4. The last piece is -36 minus 4, which is equal to -40. One way to think about this is as if you're teaching somebody step by step who has no idea what you're doing, and they need to see every play-by-play moment live made by you, the teacher. If you can imagine yourself teaching someone that is completely clueless on this new concept and you have to show them every single move, you will be able to slow it down and almost ensure understanding for that person and probably avoid silly mistakes, which is what you're trying to do anyways. And that's it. There you have it, the out loud method. Now, don't be mistaken. By using the out loud method, you cannot eliminate all silly math mistakes. Human error is impossible to beat, but it will significantly reduce the silly mistakes that you do make and get back some of those lost marks that you should have earned during a test. I'll leave the link below to the 2 mini courses in case you're interested on hearing more about the out loud method and my other strategies on how to do your math homework and how to perform on math tests with ease. And I also have a free guide on my first 5 steps to make math zen, so you can power up your math marks in your next math class. I'll link that as well down below for you. Be sure to subscribe so you can get all my tips on learning math and have my support during your next math class.